Well, about a week ago, there was a conference held in the Washington, D.C. area called the Digital Media Conference, and it's a chance for media professionals, especially those online, to come together to talk about issues important to their industry. This week on the Communicators, you're going to have a chance to meet some of those professionals. And we start off by talking with Ned Sherman. He is one of the co-founders of the conference, and he also runs an online service called Digital Media Wire.
Ned Sherman is the publisher of Digital Media Wire, Inc. He is also the main organizer of this Digital Media Conference. Mr. Sherman, how do you define digital media?
Digital media, when we started covering the space about 10 years ago, and from the outset, what we've really been concerned with is how digital distribution has been impacting content industries, whether we're talking about the traditional newspaper publisher, the television broadcaster, or the radio broadcaster. And as you know, the effects have not always been welcomed by these industries, and in a lot of ways, digital media has been perceived as a disruptive technology, and the impact of that on the content industries.
And why are you holding this conference in the Washington, D.C. area?
Well, the D.C. area, it's no surprise, there are a lot of big media companies here, from AOL to Discovery to PBS. It has become kind of a mecca for some of the biggest and most the biggest players in the space. But it's also a huge space for startup companies, and there are a lot of technology innovators in the area. So what we're seeing here is really a mix of content companies like AOL and Discovery, who are big national, international players, and then a lot of startup companies that are venture-backed, angel-backed, who are developing technology innovations to serve these content companies as they evolve their businesses more into the digital world.
Often when a conference comes to the D.C. area, they try to get regulators or lawmakers on their panels, and I saw that lacking on all the digital media conference panels.
Yeah, well, the last few years we've actually had a track on policy, and this year we made a decision not to do that. We saw what we think is a real emerging trend in mobile entertainment and mobile media. So we've done away with the policy track this year, and we added a mobile media track. And the attendance has been fabulous this year, so apparently we're on to something here.
Well, at the same time, Ned Sherman, you do need to be concerned about policy and regulation, correct?
Absolutely.
And what are those issues that you're most concerned about?
Absolutely. I mean, the policy issues and legal issues are a core component of what's going on in this space. Business models have been broken and made by decisions by the courts as well as by legislative policy. So, some of the biggest issues we've seen have been the peer-to-peer network issues and the struggle that's been going on between the content side, the RIAA, Recording Industry Association of America, the Motion Picture Association, and their efforts to stem online piracy through P2P networks. And that issue remains, a big issue. Copyright violations are a tough thing for the content industries right now.
You come from a lawyering background. What kind of law did you practice?
I was in an entertainment practice in the Los Angeles area, doing essentially the same kind of work that we're now covering from a news standpoint.
The licensing issues, particularly when it comes to digital media, how complex? Are we going to see some Supreme Court cases, more Supreme Court cases on those issues?
Yeah, I think that the licensing issues are a key component to bringing content online, and right now I think a lot of people want to see the marketplace try to work these things out, and you're seeing, and for the first time in a lot of ways, the music industry, you're seeing them, starting. Let's go back a few years with what Steve Jobs did by bringing iTunes to play. It was really the first time that the major record labels started to open up their content and license it to the digital world. And now there are more deals than you can even imagine, but they're complicated deals, and particularly when you look at the world of the World Wide Web, and you no longer have the same kind of boundaries, territorial boundaries in place that really defined a lot of the licensing schemes and that have driven entertainment and media businesses over the years.
How would a new administration affect some of the regulations that affect your world, either an Obama administration or a McCain administration?
Well, I think people are particularly interested in some of the committees and the appointments that'll come for the FCC in particular, and what some of the new appointees might do in terms of media ownership has been obviously a big issue on the minds of everyone, and we saw a relatively lax policy in terms of allowing more media consolidation under the Bush administration and the FCC that was in place under his administration, and whether that would change under Obama administration, I don't know the answer, but I think people are speculating as to what would happen.
And finally, Ned Sherman, how would you describe the company that you and your brother founded and when?
We founded Digital Media Wire in around 1999, 2000, and we're a news organization. What we have really focused on is providing really busy executives in our space, the digital media space, with relevant, timely news on a daily basis. So we hit on finance, legal, and policy and business issues each day, cover about 30 different news stories in the digital media space. Our site's dmwmedia.com.
And the issues, the technology issues we're talking about today, in 10 years, will these all be obsolete? In 6 months, will a lot of these issues be obsolete?
Well, good question. I mean, I think that things are moving so fast. I mean, even as a news organization, we have a hard time keeping up on a daily basis with what's coming out each day. So, being in the position of being at one of these leading media companies, you've got to wonder, when you put your dollars into a particular technology, how long is that going to last? And I think that's a relevant concern. Is we've seen so many changes, in the course of a year. What happens over the course of 5 to 10 years? So yes, I think it's a good question to ask. Yeah.
Ned Sherman, thank you.
Thank you.
For more information on the digital media world, here's the website, dmwmedia.com. Chances are, when you watch television, you use a channel guide to help you determine what you want to watch. The Chief Content Officer of Tidal TV hopes to take the channel guide concept and help viewers determine what they want to watch online. We're with Bob Quicksilver, the Chief Content Officer for Tidal TV. What is Tidal TV?
The Tidal TV is a broadband television platform we launched recently. We deliver premium branded content to users in a very sleek, user-friendly, TV-like experience.
Why putting television on broadband, considering that most people have TVs at home?
Well, we're really focused primarily on the out-of-home experience. 95% of your waking hours, you're not in front of a set-top box. We want to deliver the content that people want when they're not in front of a set-top box, whether they're at Starbucks, in the library, in their dorm room, at the beach, wherever you may be where you're not in front of a set-top box. We want to be able to deliver to you the content that you really love inside your home, outside the home, in a way that looks and feels like television.
So could you give an example of what that experience would feel like if someone were using it?
So one of the things that we do is we actually program our channels in a linear format, much like TV. So our landing page looks very much like a program guide on your cable or satellite platform. So if you're inclined to sort of lean back and not have to search throughout the internet for hard-to-find content, or you're intimidated by having to search for content, we deliver it for you on a daily basis in a program linear format, so you can easily find the premium content that you're interested in.
And could someone select the kind of content they want to receive and make it specialized to them?
Absolutely. We have a number of personalization elements inside of Tidal TV. You can create a favorites list, you can share content with a friend. So we definitely focus on personalization, and as we roll out subsequent iterations of Tidal TV, you'll see more and more personalization involved in the platform.
So how old is your company?
We are about 18 months old. We're definitely a pure startup. We have about 30 employees. We're a Baltimore-based company. We have a sales team based in New York and Los Angeles, a product development team based in Austin, Texas, and the rest of the team based in Baltimore, Maryland.
What spurred you to start this now?
The company was founded by Scott Ferber. Scott was the founder, and along with his brother, were the founders of advertising.com. a very successful Baltimore-based company which was sold to AOL in 2004. Scott viewed saw that there was a tremendous opportunity in the video space, believing that we could untether the television experience, much like the mobile phone untethered the wired telephone experience, and deliver people content outside the home, and then use the expertise of dynamically serving advertising inside the video model.
You worked for Fox at one time?
I did. I'm a lawyer by training and was in private practice for 10 years, served as general counsel for 2 broadcast companies, and then spent 6 years at Fox as president of network distribution. Spent a year and a half after that doing some consulting work for Yahoo Media Group, and then was introduced to Scott and his team about a year and a half ago.
What kind of things did you pick up from Fox in your television experience that you would apply to this experience on the net?
Well, it's a bit of a different experience, of course, as Fox is a network and Tidal TV, but the importance of delivery of promotion and marketing, which is certainly a big part of the network experience, we're incorporating that into Tidal TV. In a lot of on-demand platforms and settings on the web, you really don't get that. It's just a library of content without much promotion and marketing behind it or any programming behind it. I think that's a critical element of network television, and we're trying to incorporate those elements into Tidal TV to make it a very TV-like experience. What we're also doing specifically is focusing on people's passions. And Fox, we certainly, in the programming effort, tried to find things that people were passionate about. We're even going more narrow and more niche. So in addition to premium brands like HGTV and CBS and National Geographic, we're going much deeper into verticals, what we call verticals or passions that people are passionate about, whether it's food. We have the Food Network. We have a number of other premium branded food content providers. People are passionate about fashion. We have 5 or 6 content providers strictly focused on people's passions. So if you're passionate about something, Tidal TV will have it for you and will have it for you in depth.
Will Tidal TV ever get into the content making business, especially catering to those passions?
It's not our plan right now. We essentially license content from existing content providers, and with the proliferation of the broadband and sort of the democratization of video production, there's a lot of great content coming on board that's available today that probably wasn't available 10, 15 years ago, and we're finding interesting sources, some new sources of content. We don't rule it out, but it's certainly not our strategy, at least in the short term.
As someone with Washington experience, what regulatory issues do you contend with, especially with this venture?
Well, they're not a specific number of regulatory issues that we address. We certainly, comply with all privacy requirements, but it's certainly less regulated than the broadcast industry. My background is local television, and as you know, the FCC is heavily regulating that. So it's primarily the privacy concerns that we address, and we're dealing with DRM issues from with our content partners to make sure that the content is protected. We're a streaming browser-based platform. There's no downloadable application for Tidal TV, so unlike a number of other platforms, when you log on to Tidal, you're watching TV, and the reason for that is when you turn on your TV, you don't download anything. You're watching video. When you log on to Tidal, you're watching video as well.
So privacy is the main issue you deal with?
That's one of the legal issues we deal with. I mean, the primary legal issues that we deal with on the content side is making sure that we work with our content partners to display their content in the fashion in which they're comfortable with. We also, part of our strategy is, of course, the ad serving piece. I mean, in the cable world, obviously, the set-top box doesn't know who's in front of it, so there's not a lot of analytics that you can provide back to the content partners as to who's watching their content and information about them. What Tidal TV does is sort of we exploit and we take advantage of the beauty of broadband, which is to be able to not only dynamically deliver advertising. So if you and I are both watching the Food Network on Tidal TV, when there's an ad break, you're going to see a different ad than me. Obviously, you can't do that in the cable and network world. And then we're going to turn around and share very robust analytics with our content partners, obviously subject to privacy constraints, that will enable them to not only build a media strategy on Tidal TV, but also on their own websites.
Bob Quicksilver with Tidal TV. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you.
That was Bob Quicksilver of Tidal TV, the website, which you're seeing on your screen, www.tidaltv.com. BitTorrent is a company that most in the technology world know of. Its technology helps users share software and media files. And during the Digital Media Conference, we had a chance to talk with the company's president, Ashwin Navin. We're joined by Ashwin Navin of BitTorrent, and for those who don't know, what is BitTorrent?
Well, BitTorrent is an internet protocol that allows websites to deliver richer media online with much better economics than traditional internet infrastructure. It's a protocol that was invented about 6 years ago and has about 170 or 180 million users today worldwide. About 40 or 45 million will use our software in any given month.
Generally, how do people use your software?
They use it to download applications, download video, download audio, things that are very difficult to distribute on the internet without BitTorrent. Our users and publishers, websites that use BitTorrent depend on it for its efficiency to make very high quality media available online.
Would you be described as a peer-to-peer content?
Yeah, the efficiency of BitTorrent lies in its ability to connect users to each other so they can share the things they care about when they're consuming them.
As someone who monitors it, how much of an increase have you seen as people actually sharing content, and where do you see that going in the next 5 years?
Well, just like C-SPAN, I would say in kind of the early 90s, that empowered a distributed group of activists around the country that were interested in politics but not necessarily here in the Beltway. BitTorrent connects affinity groups no matter where they are in the world. So as they're consuming something that they care about, they can be sharing it with others that care about the same thing. The benefit to a website that uses BitTorrent is that those users facilitate and help get the message out, get the content out, so the cost of making the message available is actually significantly lower, and the experience, the speed at which we can consume is much faster.
As someone who works in a business but is here in Washington, D.C., do you look to Washington, particularly the regulators, whether it be on the federal or the FCC, do you look to them as monitoring issues that would concern your company, and if so, what are those issues?
Well, we as a company, we're a young company, we're a startup in San Francisco. We don't have government relations staff, we don't have lobbyists, we're entrepreneurs trying to get a business started and launched. We spend very little time thinking about how our messages could be conveyed to lawmakers. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel the same way. We'd love the world to just kind of remain the way it is today rather than have a new law or a new form of regulation come in and change the landscape. We move quick, we find air between linebackers, and we run between those gaps, and that's what creates the big opportunities for ourselves. Recently there's been a lot of interest in network neutrality issues and how ISPs can be isolating one application from another. We found ourselves in front of the FCC recently, again, not an activity that a startup loves to do, but to defend what we believe is a very vital technology, BitTorrent and peer-to-peer. We wanted to petition the government to make sure that a level playing field exists for technical development on the internet.
The chairman of the FCC, Kevin Martin, said concerning network management practices that the FCC was standing at the ready, so to speak, if they needed to enter this issue. When you hear stuff like that, what goes through your mind?
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy that that there are regulators there in government that want to maintain that level playing field, that want to see the internet continue to be an open environment where applications like BitTorrent or YouTube or MySpace, things that are vital for our daily lives, essential to our daily lives, and essential to our democracy, are alive and well and maintained in an environment that's not isolating one from another, despite what the ISP's individual opinions might be on any one application.
And with one of those applications, like you described, the issue of piracy always comes up. How does BitTorrent manage that?
Well, piracy is a symptom of the fact that people love media. They love music, they love video that's produced by Hollywood. The industries that create that media have yet to engage the audience that cares online about their content. We're in the process of a lot of innovation right now. Great websites like Hulu, for example, and ABC.com, MySpace TV. These are all websites operated by Hollywood companies that want to engage the audience, which was doing the wrong thing a few years ago. They were downloading stuff without license, but now they have the opportunity to get those great programs online legally without having to even pull out their credit card. And that's actually going to reduce piracy in the future. And BitTorrent is nothing but a very efficient way to bring media from a website to a consumer. And a lot of legitimate businesses are going to depend on BitTorrent to reach their audiences in a legitimate business model.
Do you find yourself as a company then worrying about these privacy issues and tackling it from your end?
We would love to see, again, that the government not get involved and try to regulate and change the landscape in any one lobby's favor. Leave the world as it exists today, because businesses and entrepreneurs will innovate, and they will make the world a better place through collaboration, through innovation, through ingenuity that they can enact in their own offices.
What would you advise other people in the technology field, especially those entering the field? What should they be doing over the next 5 years, especially in today's climate?
Well, I would caution technology companies not to approach any one issue with too much religion, just as I would say the same thing to the media business or the ISP business. Let's get to a table and find market solutions to our differences, because ultimately we can move faster working together than regulators. It will take many years for laws to be created, and by the time that law gets created, there'll be millions of unintended consequences from that law that could stunt innovation, that could stunt investment. If we can get to the table, like as we did with Comcast, and find a solution to the issues, I think that presents a much more compelling solution to consumers in the long run.
Ashwin Navin of BitTorrent, thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.
Ashwin Navin is the co-founder of BitTorrent. Before that company, he worked with Yahoo, Merrill Lynch, and Goldman Sachs. The company's website is on your screen. Finally, we're going to talk with Alan Worms of Yahoo News. In this interview, we talked to him about the search engine's approach to gathering news, how they compete with other news sites, and the future of online news. We're at the Digital Media Conference with Alan Worms, Vice President and General Manager of Yahoo News, and some other things attached to that, correct?
Yes, also Yahoo Education and Yahoo Tech.
When it comes to news on Yahoo, what's your approach? What sets you apart from the others?
Well, first of all, we're the #1 online news destination in the world. In fact, we just had a record month last month, 38.76 million unique users, according to ComScore, which is by far the leading site in the world. We're the biggest, but we're also the best. And the reason for that is our approach is to really aggregate the world's best content, not just text stories, but also video stories, and do it in a way that's easy to digest, that's completely even-handed. We don't skew left, we don't skew right, and really make sure that this is an incredibly trusted product that you can go to day after day after day to find out the news, videos that you care about.
How do you gather the information, and how do you decide how it's presented online?
It's a great question, and this is where it's a great opportunity to be part of an incredible company like Yahoo. So we've got automated feeds from a whole host of partners, right? From the Associated Press to Politico to Real Clear Politics to Huffington Post to pretty much almost anybody you can imagine, really, that comes in electronically over feeds that we then process, and we're able to deliver news stories kind of, within 5 to 10 minutes of when breaking news stories happen. In addition to that, we also have a lot of time and consumer testing going into design and the user experience. So it's a consistent design. It doesn't link you to different looking pages. Everything is very much contextual, and it's an environment that's easy to read and easy to kind of digest on a regular basis. In addition to that, we've got a team of editors that are actually, applying judgment to these stories. We send back stories once in a while. Hey, that's not really a news story. That's an editorial design as a news story. Or, hey, we want to make sure we have balance here or balance there. Or, hey, you know what? I think that's the best video that can really apply to the story. And we think that helps makes it better, because you can't just rely on an algorithm to make this kind of thing happen.
So you gather from other sources. You don't produce content yourself as far as news is concerned?
No, we do. We then augment that with a dose of original content. So, for example, we just recorded the George W. Bush's first online video interview with Yahoo News in conjunction with Politico, which was produced entirely by us. We produced entirely by us interviews with the Republican presidential candidates as well as the Democratic candidates back last year. And it's been an opportunity for us to really kind of seed our site with exclusive content only available on Yahoo News, where we think can make a difference. In fact, just yesterday, a new poll came out that we're doing in conjunction with the AP. So the AP Yahoo News Political Pulse, the first time anybody's tracked a panel of about 2,500 or so Americans throughout the political process, so we can see what's different, what's changing, etc.
Do you see an increase in content or people going to your site because of politics?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had record months in our politics channel, in the hundreds of millions of page views in terms of the scale of people interested in these stories. Huge driver of traffic this year. It's also been a huge driver of video content. And interestingly enough, if I may, the George W. Bush interview that we did online, we were able to achieve 7 million streams in 36 hours. And fully 3/4 of those streams were viewed by people under the age of 55. Compare that to the evening news, which generally viewed by about 6 million people, about 1 million to 2 million, which is under 55.
Where do you see the internet and online news going in the next 5 years?
I think with the commoditization, if you will, of some of the raw content, the need for brands is stronger than ever. The need to have a trusted resource where you can go and you know you're going to get the even, accurate, up-to-date, best content. So I think it's going to actually continue to congregate and really coalesce around the few players that people trust that can deliver to them everything they need in an environment that makes sense over time.
A lot of the news these days about your company, Yahoo, does that future affect what you do as far as the news division?
You know, not really at all. We're very blessed to be the #1 player in news, and it's a very unique kind of opportunity where everybody on my team wakes up every morning and there's nothing we can't do that we can't imagine we want to do. We can make partnerships with everybody. We've got the best technological capabilities that are out there with the acquisition of Maven and some other video players. We've got the best designers in the world. So we can really, use our brain to its fullest ability to say, how can we continue to enhance the experience to our users? And the reality is there's still a lot of advertising dollars to have. So we're super excited about our future.
This conference is based in Washington, D.C. Does the news department of Yahoo look to Washington? Is there concerns about regulatory issues or other, either from Congress or the FCC that concern what you do?
We're a staunch member of the Online Newspaper Association. We consider ourselves, a peer of all the other major news organizations that are out there, and so we really, seek to work with them as it applies to those issues.
Alan Worms, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And there's the website for Yahoo News. As of this taping, Microsoft still in talks with other media companies in an effort to buy Yahoo's search engine company. That's it for the Communicators. Don't forget you can watch us on C-SPAN 6:30 every Saturday and on Monday at 8 a.m., 8 p.m. on C-SPAN 2, as well as our website, cspan.org. Thanks for joining us.